There we go. What is he doing? What is he doing? I don't know what he's doing. What is he doing? What is he doing?
Christ, what a mess! I mean, it's beautiful, but not quite what I ordered. Still, long as you took them all out, that's worth something.
Yeah, that's Vicky.
Hong Kong. What does that have to do with China? They're autonomous. Well, in 2020, Beijing, the Chinese Communist Party, superseded the Hong Kong Assembly to take over national security and whatever they deemed to be national security. And Scott mentioned the Southern Command. The head of the Southern Command testified in front of the House Armed Services Committee and said that this is critical to Chinese interests. The Panama Canal is part of their long-term plan.
Policy perspective, other than the threat of military force, what is Trump doing about it?
Well, to Scott's point, we have entire files of contingency plans
I'm saying
at the Pentagon.
other than the invasion of Panama, what is Trump doing about this?
Doing about countering Chinese influence?
In the Panama Canal specifically.
Yeah, we're saying out loud we are prepared to take any action necessary to make Panama live within the treaty obligations.
So in other words,
kick China
you're
out.
saying
That's a policy of the
Trump
United
is making
States.
a threat that he has no intention of carrying out.
I don't know what he's
But
going to
there's
do.
no policy behind that. There's no, diplomacy behind it. There's no carrots behind it at all.
You want to give carrots to China for trying to make an incursion in our
to
hemisphere?
Panama, because China is giving carrots to Panama.
Well, they are
We're
negotiating.
trying to
They are negotiating.
Here's the issue. Like, I agree with the end state of what needs to happen in the Panama Canal. We do need to make sure that China doesn't control the ins and outs there. The difference is you don't do this by threatening an invasion. And this is where my issue is with, like, Greenland and Canada, totally separate things, of course. But with that is, like, pretending like you might invade, obviously leaking that you've created invasion plans. I don't see the point in that. Again, I actually agree with the end state, but what we need to do in Panama, I don't think we should take back over the Panama Canal. But it's like you're threatening Panama, you're threatening Canada, LOL, we're going to make you the 51st state, Greenland.
Can I just play, because you brought up Greenland, I think it's worth a discussion too, because this literally happened in the Oval Office today. A Trump sitting next to the NATO chief, and he says this about Greenland.
What is your vision for potential annexation of Greenland and getting the potential?
Well, I think it'll happen, because you know what, we need that for international security, not just security, international. We have a lot of our favorite players cruising around the coast, and we have to be careful.
I mean, as people pointed out, the NATO chief didn't say anything. He was just kind of sitting there while Trump was basically, essentially threatening to illegally invade a territory of a NATO ally.
Yeah, Trump looks silly in all of this. I'm sorry. He is attempting to forcefully take away a friendly nation, and their territory. And I think that a question that I continue to ask in this presidency is, why does he continue to try to do this for our allies? This is whether it's Canada, whether it's Greece, the list goes on. And I just think that how it's very hard to take Trump seriously when he makes these jokes all the time. And it's something that
It's not a joke. Who cries wolf? It's not a joke.
It is.
He continues to threaten the military in places where he has no intention of actually doing it. His word is being diluted by these empty threats.
What if we woke up in the morning and China had said, you know what, screw this, we're going to send some military over towards the Panama Canal, or we're going to say no to this idea that we shouldn't control the Panama Canal? Would you rather or rather not have the United States government prepared for any possible contingency with China?
Scott, I expect that the United States government is prepared for every contingency. They just
We are now. We are now.
I don't think that scenario was planning for what if the Chinese military comes over, then what we do. My guess is that scenario plans for how do we fight the Panamanian Defense Forces to take this. And again, it's like, here's the reason, by the way, that Donald Trump threatens our allies and not people that really deserve threat, because he's small, he's scared. He's a coward. And you can threaten your friends because you know you're not going to start a war over it, and it makes you look really tough. If you tweet in all caps and then you threaten Panama, it makes you look like you're ready to go to war tough. But you don't say he doesn't say much about Iran. He's pretty quiet on that. Certainly Russia. And China, he's been quiet on lately.
Well,
because there's reality with that.
we weren't so quiet on Iran that we killed the head
He's quiet on China. That was 6 years ago. I'm talking about
He's pretty tough on Iran.
He's quiet on China because about a week ago, the Chinese embassy said, quote, if it's war the U.S. wants to be a terror, trade, or any other type of war, we're ready to fight till the end.
Isn't that a reason, by the way, to be prepared for the Chinese if they're going to rattle sabers?
I think the Chinese
They're willing to say that. What should we do?
If you're posturing violence first, then what do you expect China to then report?
We're not posturing violence. We're posturing, we want to push back on them with tariffs, and we want to push back on them economically. But this Panama Canal business has been an issue for years, and it festered under several administrations. He's saying no more. I mean,
Look, I don't think anybody's disputing the nature of the problem. I think the question is, what is the actual solution? Trump keeps talking about the one solution that everybody agrees, including you, that he has no intention of carrying.
If our troops are down there over a shortcut for boats, that is not the type of war we need to be at.
I think MAGA voters would have something to say about that. Coming up next for us, as Democrats struggle with their messaging in the second Trump era, some are saying things like this.
I'm worried that Trump is on the edge of creating a civil war.
Twitter. That's a great name. Jack B's and
We were the most social people.
we invented a whole new thing.
It was the most emotional company, and its founders are neurotic.
Twittering is all the rage. Billions of dollars. Twitter was running the public square.
Engagement equals engagement.
No one could possibly have understood where it was going.
Twitter, Breaking the Bird, Sunday at 10 on CNN.
For gentle, dependable constipation relief, try Senecon. It works differently than other laxatives because it's made from the senna plant, a natural vegetable laxative ingredient. Gentle, dependable, Senecon. Also available in delicious gummies.
Ontario, Canada. Stable and secure when the world around us isn't. You can rely on us for energy to power your growing economy and for critical minerals crucial to new technologies. We're here, right by your side.
When I started Walton Goggins goggle glasses, I had no idea what I was doing. But GoDaddy Aero does, using AI to build a logo, website, and social content. So I can let the world know. See, goggles ain't Goggins. They don't belong in goggles.
Kids, I'm sure you're wondering why you're not.
It's because it's a sale.
That's the reason.
Do you have any idea how much this would cost at other restaurants?
A lot, honey. Not kidding. Yeah.
How do you sleep at night?
On a mattress from Mattress Firm. So I sleep.
At the upgrade your sleep sale, get a queen bed and adjustable base for $499.99. Get matched at Mattress Firm. Sleep at night.
I had the worst dream last night. You were in a car crash and the kids and I were on our own.
That's awful.
My brother was saying he got life insurance from Ethos, and he got $2 million.
From Ethos.
Life insurance made easy. Check your price today at ethos.com.
Liberty Mutual is all she talks about since we saved hundreds by bundling our home and auto insurance.
It's pronounced Liberty. Liberty. Nice try, kid. Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, liberty, liberty. The FBI calls it house stealing, the latest scam where a cyber thief transfers the title of your home out of your name and steals your hard-earned equity.
It's roughly 60 to 90 days for that person to even figure out that they're the victim of this wrong. You start getting foreclosure notices, and you realize you've got 4 mortgages on your house that you didn't even know existed.
Unfortunately, it's on you to protect yourself. You might already be a victim. Check your title status now at HomeTitleLock.com.
Here you go.
Is there any way to get a better price on this?
How do you get Single Care? Whenever my customers ask how to get a better price on their meds, I tell them about Single Care. It's a free app accepted at pharmacies nationwide.
Before I pick up my prescription, Single Care can literally beat my insurance away.
You just search for your prescription and show your Single Care coupon at the pharmacy.
So I just show the coupon and get this done?
That's right. Go to singlecare.com and start saving today.
My doctor's office with a filing system from the 80s has my social.
Think of all the places that can expose your info. LifeLock monitors millions of data points for identity theft. If there's a problem, we fix it. Guaranteed.
Our restaurant's been in business for 17 years. American technology and innovation are part of everything we do, from helping us attract new customers to facilitating deliveries with what it takes now. I'm really excited about what artificial intelligence can do for small businesses like ours. This game-changing technology will make us smarter and more efficient. Advancing open source AI will make our economy and Main Street stronger. Our leaders in Washington need to protect our competitive edge.
Buying a car is kind of a big deal. You need to see all the options. See, she knows. Car Gurus gives you the most new and used cars ready for you. You know your big deal is the best deal. Car Gurus. Compare agents on realtor.com to sell houses for the best price on the market. Get my quotes from local agents in your local area and can get you the best.
Stop! Stop right there! Don't take another fucking step or we're all going to die. Okay? Just stay there. The slightest movement could send us all flying.
You still out there,
Yeah,
Lab
I'm still out here, just hanging on by a thread.
Fresh meat, get over here.
No, don't move!
Don't listen to him. Come on.
No, stop! Don't y'all see? The Earth is just a big round ball, and we're all holding on to it with our feet.
Fuck this.
If our feet let go, we could go flying out into space, man!
I told him not to eat all that acid.
Oh, no, it's not about the acid.
This is for your own good. I'm gonna give you the count of 5 to get off that spot, or I'm gonna turn you into Chuck Steak. 5.
I'm gonna die either way.
Expect.
Don't
Oh,
test
I
me,
believe
Lab
he
Rat.
expects
I'm not fucking
violence.
around for.
I
You know what
believe
space
he
sounds
expects
like?
confrontation. I believe he's working toward a civil war. We're not going to get goaded. We're not going to get tricked into that. We're going to continue to do our work.
For his own good. He shouldn't have taken all that.
So that has some on the MAGA wing of the country pretty upset. But I don't know, it seems to me pretty clear at the end there. She said, we're not going to go into that territory.
Why bring it up? I mean, she's hardly the first Democrat to bring it up. Hakeem Jeffries said earlier this year, we're going to fight in the streets. Anna Presley, Jasmine Crockett, other members of the Democratic Conference have continuously alluded to violence because they're so angry about the Trump.
I think it's unfair to say that they're alluding to violence. When Jeffries was saying that, he was talking about going to the streets in protest.
He said
which
fight
is
in the streets.
It's a political fight.
That's clearly not the context of the business.
But Trump uses the word fight. Everyone loses.
I want to remind you, though, it was when there's actual fighting that occurred. I want to remind you, though, that it was Trump supporters who stormed the Capitol on January 6th. When January 6th happened this year, what happened? It wasn't Democrats storming the Capitol. Actually, guess what? No one stormed the Capitol this January 6th. And so it was...
You look at the video in New York City today? The people who took over Trump Tower, the people screaming at folks on the street.
People protesting.
In Trump Tower?
They were not storming
Trump Tower.
They were not storming.
They were inside of it.
They were not storming. They were not trying to. They were not trying to hurt a member of Congress. There were thousands of people who were protesting for January 6th. You may sometimes, but you know what? Go read your old op-ed. Talk about how the president caused a insurrection. That's what you did on January 6th. That's what MAGA supporters have to do.
You can scream at me all you want, but I have every single day condemned the events of January the 6th. Then, now, and I will continue.
There was no screaming happening at this table. Okay, someone talking to you is not screaming, but I do want to play the rest of what Maxine Waters said, just for clarity purposes. Listen.
It places the responsibilities on us to live and do like Dr. Martin Luther King told us to do. He taught us to organize and to protest, but he taught us nonviolence. He taught us nonviolence. That was the center, that was the core of his message. And we live with that all the time, no matter how upset we can get, no matter where we can get, we live with what we've been taught.
I want to walk the middle on this because I have talked about, like, I have concerns that someday this country ends up in a civil war. It's one thing to express concerns about that. You read Barbara Walters' book, How Civil Wars Start. It's very eye-opening. But you can express concern. I think where Maxine went over the top was to say Donald Trump is fomenting and kind of make it look like, I mean, when I heard her talking, it sounded like she was trying to say, in essence, he's doing this intentionally. That's when you cross the line. So to have a legitimate conversation about violence or civil war, I honestly think we should be having that conversation. But when you start accusing people like it sounded like she did, that's where I think it goes over the top.
Yeah, because, I don't think that Trump would, for 1 second, think about the consequences of a lot of this stuff and the policies that he's doing. But I do have a legitimate concern when you're talking about making thousands of Americans unemployed and then putting them in situations where they cannot pay mounting medical bills and putting them in situations where their kids are starving in the schools. At some point, they're going to look for someone to blame. And then those tensions, we will then turn on each other and not the politicians. And God forbid we show up at the town hall and be angry about it and be told that we shouldn't be behaving that way either. So I think that it's definitely a legitimate concern that people are going to be doing bad and there are going to be repercussions. If you're cutting people from the VA who help our veterans, you don't know what type of instability that potentially causes in people who deserve help and assistance. So I think that her concern is very valid about the ripple effects of it. I don't think our president was exactly going, but
she's not exactly the first person to bring up the prospect of a civil war. The Ohio State Senator George Lang at one point said, I'm afraid if we lose this one, it's going to take a civil war to save this country, and it will be saved. He had to apologize for it, but people on both sides, frankly, have been throwing around the Civil War thing. And I guess the challenge is that it's all hyperbole until suddenly it's not. And at what point, I don't know. I mean, at what point does that change?
Well, I think Democrats have wanted to hit Maxine Waters' mute button for years. She tends to have these comments pop up every now and then. But as I listen to her and her apocalyptic premonitions, and then I see some of her colleagues in the House of Representatives and the Senate drop more F-bombs than there are in the Big Lebowski, I think maybe they finally hit their stride. Say crazy stuff and become your own worst enemy. And if that's their strategy to get back in power, then give them all the...
I'm not exactly anybody... I'm not sure that anybody really has the high road on, their demeanor, in Washington. I mean, we have women on the Republican side, congresswomen screaming at each other, calling each other names. I mean, this is it's not...
it is the House. I mean...
Well, one thing to point out...
Maxine Waters, the reason I wanted to play her whole thing is that she said she's worried about a civil war. Fine. Republicans have said the same thing too. But she made it very clear she did not think that the response to anything should be violence.
Well, what I also say, when I was at the Justice Department, we saw a rise in threats to all sorts of elected officials and to election workers, to members of Congress, both sides of the aisle. I'm sure Maxine Waters sometimes hears from people. There are people who's around this table, reporters, et cetera. And we saw an increase in prosecutions towards, for people who would threaten these elected officials. So I do think that the rhetoric has led us to a place where people's lives are at risk. And this has real world consequences. And I only see it going up from here.
Yeah, partly because not a lot of people are condemning this kind of thing, to be honest.
This much, if there is a civil war in this country, it's going to be a short one because we out of shape.
That's for another day. That's a conversation for another day, boy. Coming up next for us, the panel gives us their nightcap. What trend do they regret participating in? We'll just explain what that's all about next.
Tell us about accepting bribes.
The stuff he did that was completely legal destroys democracy.
I'm still not sure that you're repentant. I have nothing to hide. If he hadn't been such a, he would have gotten away with it.
They were abused on television.
It was this unfounded combination, overwhelmingly economic.
It's not a bribe, it's trading favors.
United States of Scandal with Jake Tapper, Sunday at 9 on CNN.
The way that I approach work post-fatherhood has really been trying to understand the generation that we're building devices for. Here in the Comcast family, we're building an integrated in-home Wi-Fi solution for millions of families in Miami. In the average household, there are dozens of connected devices. Connectivity is a big part of my boys' lives. It brings people together in meaningful ways.
For a full house. 2 empty nest.
Free birds. Vanguard.
We got this.
50 years of helping you invest for every chapter.
Huh. You has GLP-1 meds now?
Yes, Noom combines medication with healthy habits so you can lose the weight and keep it off.
Yeah, GLP-1s starting at $149.
That's Noom smart.
Noom, the smart way to lose weight.
An MSC cruise isn't just a vacation, it's a holiday full of European style.
And all the things Americans love too. Come on, balloon.
There are a ton of football matches.
Games, football games.
Woo! You ready for some adrenaline?
How full. How high is that?
So high.
Privacy.
Privacy.
Gelato.
Froyo.
Architecture.
Architecture.
That is a big app.
It's American. Of course it's big.
What a vacation.
Don't you mean holiday?
My bad.
We should stop now.
Yeah.
When our numbers guy Frank goes on vacation, the deals on the most affordable German-engineered car brand in America get even better. Hop in during Volkswagen Deal Days. The deals are in while Frank is out. Get up to a $2,500 customer bonus on select new 2025 models during Volkswagen Deal Days.
Choose Advil Liquid Gels for faster, stronger, and longer-lasting relief than Tylenol Rapid Release Gels. Because Advil targets pain at the source of inflammation. So for faster pain relief, Advil, the pain way.
You founded your kayak company because you love the ocean, not spreadsheets. You need to hire. I need Indeed. Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, candidates can find it easier, so you can hire easier. Visit Indeed.com/hire.
After cooking a delicious Knorr chicken cheddar broccoli recipe, you will want to close your delivery apps because nothing beats a perfect combo of sweet tomatoes and smooth, silky zucchini. Make your own Knorr taste combo. It's not fast food, but it's so good.
Verizon and AT&T announced price hikes a total of 10 times in the past 2 years. Doesn't it blow your mind? Families can switch to T-Mobile and get all the benefits that they've planned while saving 20%. T-Mobile blows the competition away.
T-Mobile will also give you up to $800 when you switch.
Fine? No. Start a jet engine. Go to T-Mobile.com. See how families can save 20% and $800.
That's lunch.
All the news, all on Laura Post Live, next on CNN.
Closed captioning is brought to you by Skechers Hands-Free Slip-Ins.
This tiny home trend. Now this is more like it. The same goes for my footwear. So I went hands-free with wide-fit Skechers slip-ins. Try wide-fit Skechers slip-ins.
We are back, and it's time for the News Nightcap Trend Edition. Well, former Kanye fans in Los Angeles are being invited to throw away their merch. Now you each have 30 seconds to tell us what trend or fad do you regret. Pete?
Well, this might come as a shock to everyone at this table, but I'm not the trendiest of guys. Nevertheless, about when I was 13 years old, I believed that along with Beanie Babies and Wheaties boxes, that a Tickle Me Elmo was my ticket to retirement security. So my dad crossed the border from Northwest Indiana over to Illinois to get one at a mall. And it didn't exactly turn out that way, but I'll say tonight, thank you, Dad. I'm sorry we still have to work for a living.
Wow. Tickle Me Elmo. I just don't love it. Love that one.
Mine is as an 80s baby. I grew up in the low-rise jeans era, where you had not only your belly hanging out the front, but your butt crack showing in the back. So let's hope my sister doesn't find any photos and put them on social media when I was in high school, but that should never come out.
I'll burn them all. Burn them all.
In the early aughts, there were these shoes that I could only describe as casual but formal sneakers.
Wait, aren't those back?
No, yeah, they're back, and they should go back to wherever they came from in 2000. So those were the shoes you wore to the club, and they wouldn't let you wear sneakers in the club. Yeah, they were atrocious. You know, I mean, for me, there was once a time in my life when I used to shave my face, and I just regret that. I regret it. Now that I'm a beard guy, I feel like I belong in Beardland. Actually, to be honest with you, in college, I got my ear pierced, and lasted 2 whole weeks. Nothing wrong with people get their ear pierced. All great. Not me, though. It looked pretty bad.
I would
so
not have pegged you for an ear piercing guy. Okay, learn something new every day, Scott.
Don't be jealous. Don't be jealous.
I try to resist fads and trends. I didn't even like it when people were trying to guilt everyone into pouring buckets of ice on their heads. I'm sure it was for a good cause, but I've literally lost 20 friends over this. However, there was a time in my life when tracksuits and billowy parachute pants were all the rage. I'm sorry to say that they're...
Want the effects of Viagra, but faster? Sparks are designed to dissolve under the tongue to hit your bloodstream faster than traditional pills, with a dual-action formula to deliver a stronger boost. Rose Sparks contain tadalafil, which lasts longer in your system, so you're ready to go for up to 36 hours. Sparks hit faster and stronger to work longer. Say it with me. Faster, stronger, longer. Sparks. See if Rose Sparks are right for you at ro.co/switch.
Twitter, Waking the Bird, Sunday at 10 on CNN.
Remember when House Republican leadership told their members not to do town halls? Well, North Carolina's Chuck Edwards didn't listen, and he had an earful.
I happen to believe very much that President Trump supports our Constitution.
And that was just one of the more tame moments, by the way, because things quickly went off the rails. See, then Isabel Rosales was in the room for all of it. Isabel?
It was a packed house inside, the auditorium reaching a max capacity of 300 people. So loud at times that you could hear them from inside of the town hall. The questions range from everything from Ukraine to DOGE, the federal workers that have been fired. That certainly struck a nerve. Many of those jobs held by veterans. The congressman pressed time and time again about those cuts that many of his constituents were worried could impact Hurricane Helene recovery efforts. Then there was this heated exchange from a man who identified himself as a veteran shortly after the town hall began. And right after the town hall, the congressman took questions from reporters, and just feet away, this moment of people pounding on the glass doors, shouting "shame on you" and other chants, extremely loud, yelling, wanting their voices to be heard. But I did also hear from other constituents saying thank you to Congressman Edwards for even holding an in-person town hall to begin with. Laura.
Isabel, thank you so much. I want to bring in CNN analyst and New York Times White House correspondent, Zolan Youngs, former senior advisor to Trump Vance's presidential campaign, Brian Lanza, and former special assistant to President Biden, Michael LaRosa. Thank you all for being here. I'll begin with you, Zolan, because we know the president has paid attention in the past, particularly when it comes to veterans. Will this resonate with him?
I mean, we'll have to see. I think for the White House right now, it's not going to be an individual town hall, but more so what that represents broadly. Now, I do think what could resonate is right now, I believe it was a CNN poll that found this week that the perception of Trump's handling, that the approval rating of Trump's handling of the economy essentially mirrors his overall approval rating right now, about 44-45%. That's a difference from the first term. In the first term, when he came into office, consistently, the approval rating of his handling of the economy was higher than his overall approval rating. say that and I connect it to this event because when
What happened to you?
you have to wonder if the patience will start to lower for some of the actions that we're seeing in Washington. We've mentioned often that this upending of the federal bureaucracy does not just impact people in D.C., but people jobs throughout the country. You add that to economic frustration, potentially, literally, higher consumer prices as you see more tariffs. Well, then will you start to see more examples of town halls like this?
Well, Republicans have been told not to do these where town halls. I don't know if that's the solution to kind of cover your ears to what's happening, but what do you make of an evening like that where they're obviously hearing it from people about their frustrations?
Listen, town halls are tough, and Republicans should hear it, and they should hold it. I mean, they should get in front of as many people and make their case. I mean, President Trump made his case in November of why he should get elected. He wanted to shrink government, he wanted to focus on the economy, he wanted to end the war. You know, he is doing those things. The things that he's doing are defensible. He can actually talk about what the progress they're making with respect to these things. He has to have these conversations, and the best line of defense is going to be those House members that are doing those. So I think it's a disservice that we're asking them not to do it. I think they need to get there. They need to prep, and they need to have the smart questions. But I also think the theatrics plays into our hands. You know, the veteran, you know, he has a strong voice. He should say something. But he has to be respectful in this conversation because the vast majority of the people in town halls are respectful. And we've seen over the years it's gotten this disrespectful tone and actually helps President Trump. That's what I think. And, you know, I think you have to answer the tough questions. And the reality is you're right. The CNN poll earlier this week or last week, I think it showed that people have had less confidence in President Trump with respect to consumer prices. What did we see this week? We saw inflation is now going down. We saw the prices of gas and eggs go down. So, I mean, you can't measure it week after week. You have to measure it month to month. And in 1 month's time, President Trump, we've seen him now drop the prices of eggs. We've seen the gas prices go down. Those are good things.
I mean, interesting enough to ask some of the people in these town halls to be respectful. I understand the premise, but they feel as though they are not just being disrespected, but they are being actively harmed. They're speaking out at these town halls. Democrats, I know now, are thinking about holding their own town halls in Republican areas to be able to hear this. Is that the right way to react to this and perhaps seize on it?
Well, I saw Governor Walton doing something similar to that in Minnesota. I would actually agree with Brian actually on the response that the congressman had in terms of holding these town halls. I think it's the right thing to do. You know, Democrats can learn lessons from this. You don't retreat when you're under attack, right? You have to, as James Carville once said, or Bill Clinton once said, actually, you have to run into the fire. As Democrats, when it comes to the press, we run away from the fire. We've been doing that a lot for the last couple of years. We have to run into it. And so...
Why do they run away?
Well, there is a culture in the Democratic Party right now that has treated the press as a hazard instead of an opportunity. And I didn't always agree with that approach, but that was the approach that the Biden White House took. All in the Biden campaign took all the time. I never understood it. I came from television, so my instinct is to always engage. But too many staffers, too many strategists in our party are too fearful, too skeptical, and treat the press with suspicion, which doesn't engender the trust you need on both sides to get the job done, and it doesn't help Democrats sell their message.
It's been more than just press relation, with caution with the press, too, when it comes to Democrats. It also seems like there's an intentional strategy right now by Democrats up until this point to be really, really cautious about choosing what to swing at when it comes to the Trump. Right. It's very
well, they're swinging at tariffs right now, and that's one area that I think they believe they're going to be successful in. But you heard Trump already saying that he is not backing down on this issue, even though he's been accused of giving everyone whiplash on this very issue.
It's the perfect example of what Carville wrote about in the New York Times. Play dead, right? Get out of his way. The events.
Well, that's different. That's the events. Playing dead and getting out of his way are different things.
Staying out of his way, meaning we don't need it. We don't need to do protests at these federal agencies. We don't. The events will be the wind that we need at our backs going into the midterms. The midterms is the long game. Because in order to govern, you have to win elections. In order to win elections, you have to focus on winning and not trying to win the argument all the time. And Democrats are too focused on trying to be right. No, we got to try to win the election. All right. So allow these frontliners on the DCCC in the marginal districts Let them off the hook. Let them vote with Republicans occasionally. Let's focus on, we're going to take back the House. There's only a 2-seat deficit. We just can't screw it up. But that is why we need to focus on.
I mean, that's a high order.
It is. We did gain 2 seats in this last election. The margins are so close. Republicans need Democrats because Democrats are in better shape than people realize when it comes to money, infrastructure, recruitment. Now it's going to be, can we leverage these events like tariffs? Can we use that to our advantage? Because it's very unpopular.
Brian, what's the Republican response if they're going to pick and choose their battles and not have hair on fire? What are the Republicans going to do?
I think it's going to happen.
Listen, I think the Republicans are going to watch them lose again. I mean, we saw every tactic employed in 2016 to try to stop President Trump. Scandal of the week, outrage of the hour, those things didn't work. At the end of the day, the only way the Democratic Party wins is if it actually has a message for the American people. It can't be tariffs are bad, because we've had this whole month of the media saying tariffs are bad, Democrats and Republicans saying tariffs are bad, and that's not what and what did we see in 1 month's time? We see inflation.
I mean, but it's not just the media saying and then reverse engineering the result, right? The markets are showing spiraling. They're having people concerned about their 401k. You're talking about pensions. You hear the things like that. I mean, there's the quote in the poll you were talking about. There's a new Trinity Act. Well, I want to come on the screen with people too. Just 23% of voters say the economy is excellent or good. So despite the idea that Republicans can feel confident about how people feel it, the numbers are even very different.
Listen, but the number that's most important is when Donald Trump took the oath of office, inflation rate was at 3.1%. We're just today at 6.8%. So it's moving in the right direction, which is what we learned from the last election, that the most important number that matters is affordability, that matters is inflation. It doesn't matter what the stock market looks like, it doesn't matter what unemployment looks like. The thing that people are feeling the most is affordability, and if you look at what's happening to your gas prices, and if you look at what happened to eggs prices, which I was on the show where we talked about it, everything on CNN about egg prices, a month into this administration, egg prices are down from when we started. That's a win.
Follow that?
I mean, again, it's very early right now, and when you talk to most economists at this point, they would say also that consumer prices would have to go up as we'll have more tariffs. So, I mean, we are going to have to watch that.
That is the people who don't bear the cost of tariffs. Who wouldn't bear the cost of it if we took tariffs? Because we're going to have the prices go to the extra.
I would say look at the first term. President Trump passed tariffs in the first term. And we're in affordability was at the best in which it has been in 30 years. And that's the thing that matters. It's not whether prices go up, but whether wages go up even faster. So yes, we're going to have prices go up to the tariffs. But what matters more is that wages go up faster. That's going to be the key to the It's not going to be the 5% more.
1.0. When Trump 1.0 treated their tariff, the trade deficit went up, manufacturing went down, economic growth went down. Everything, Al Gore said, everything that is supposed to be up was down, everything that was down was supposed to be down was up. I do think, and we have not learned that protectionism has always failed when it comes to the American economy. And he's going to learn that again. And by the way, that was before the pandemic that he did that. That was before. So he's taking a huge risk when he had so much goodwill with the stock market and the anticipation of deregulation. All of that's going to be negated now.
You're a liar, they don't define your job ahead. Thanks, everyone. Still ahead is President Trump treating the world like the board game Risk. Well, tonight, the stunning statements he's making about taking Canada and Greenland and now even perhaps military options to the Panama Canal. It's all of it next.
What I got news for you is that. Let's think of some new games to play. What do you got?
Yes, something like
what? Big plan, the same game.
Have I got news for you? Saturday at 9 on CNN.
Sure. This print prints business cards, but we also print these and those. And agree with that. We print your brand on everything, so customers can notice you, remember you, and fall in love with you. It's who you did. We print it with 25% off for new customers at nextprint.com.
Have you always had trouble with your weight? Me too.
Discover the power. With Wegovy, I lost 35 pounds. The sum lost more than 6 pounds.
What do you call it?
Reducing my risk.
Wegovy is the only new meaningful medicine who can reduce risk of major cardiovascular events such as death, heart attack, or stroke in adults with heart disease and illness. Don't use Wegovy with semaglutide or GLP-1 medicines or in children under 12. Don't take it with medical evidence. See MENT or tell your provider if you plan to have surgery or a procedure, are breastfeeding, pregnant, or planning to. Stop taking it. Get medical help right away if you get a lump or swelling in your neck, severe stomach pain, or any of these allergic reactions. Serious side effects may include pancreas inflammation and gallbladder or severe stomach problems. Call your prescriber if you have any of these symptoms. Wegovy may cause low blood sugar in people with diabetes, especially if you take medicines to treat diabetes. Call your prescriber about vision changes, if you feel your heart racing while at rest, or if you have mental changes. Depression or thoughts of suicide may occur. Common side effects include nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, constipation, stomach pain, flu or upset, headache, feeling tired, dizzy or bloated, gas, and heartburn. Some side effects lead to dehydration, which may cause kidney problems.
With Wegovy,
I'm losing weight.
I'm keeping it on.
I'm lowering my CV risk. Ask your prescriber about Wegovy.
Yellow and Black is back. Save a lot of green this spring at Lumber Liquidators. Waterproof flooring as low as 69 cents a square foot. Pre-finished solid saddle hickory flooring is just $2.99 a square foot. Go to lumberliquidators.com. Ends March 21st.
If your cat is feeling the pain of osteoarthritis, it's up to you to read the signs.
Learn how to spot osteoarthritis pain. Learn the signs of osteoarthritis pain at redflags.com.
If you feel this, consider this. AARP Medicare Supplement is shipped from United Healthcare. Medicare Supplement claims help with some of what Medicare does. Let you see any doctor, any specialist, anywhere in the U.S. accepts Medicare patients. So if you have this, consider having this. Call United Healthcare today for your great decision.
Food is Gina's passion. But then if you swear to it, that's something that different food factors, sugar, different food that you love.
Just just imagine for 7 states. So America's
One sec. So I'm going to go quick. Ready? Yeah. It's two. Thanks for engaged. Always works for me. I'm going to tell you that. So simple, so good. Weight loss diet. You gotta get on it. For here, it's doctor trusted, convenient, and personal. Get started today.
Personalized guidance into saving snacks and other life. It's weird.
Tonight, President Trump is openly talking about bringing back an era of American expansionism, not seen since World War II. A new Pentagon memo outlines possible military actions at the Panama Canal. Why? To ensure the U.S. has unfettered access to the 50-mile-long waterway that's critical for shipping. Trump has already signaled his anger.
To further enhance our national security, my administration will be reclaiming the Panama Canal. And we've already started doing it. We didn't give it to China. We did it to Panama. We're taking it back.
Now, despite Trump's claim, Panama controls the canal, not Canada. But Panama is just the one aspect of Trump's expansionist talk. For weeks now, he's openly talked about annexing Canada and also Italy. Some of the brushed off with the American drug dealers, but listen to what Trump said about Canada. The White House, with the NATO Secretary General.
To be honest with you, Canada only works as a state because we don't need anything we have. as a state, it would be one of the great states anyway.
In Greenland? It's not. Don't give out the head, see?
Be that for international support, when you get support, you think about it. We have a lot of our favorite players. And we have to be careful.
Prime Minister rejecting Trump threat, saying, quote, David Sanger, a CNN political and national security analyst and correspondent for the New York Times, a CNN military analyst and retired Air Force colonel, said the gentlemen have had both of you here. What is the strategic importance of these two spaces?
Well, so starting with Panama, of course, it's the Panama Canal. It's one of the sea lanes of communications. So this is one of the areas where the U.S. Navy and U.S. military, they needed in order to go through an area that allows us to connect the Atlantic to the Pacific. The whole reason for the canal being climate change. It's going to become so that also power could not take control of it. That back. So the last time we did Operation Just Cause, to ensure that the British that was one of the things that
I think he is serious. The question is he serious about ownership, right? And this is the reason you have allies, so that you don't need to own every single piece of real estate. You have allies so that they can help you control it. So take these sort of in order of, what makes sense, doesn't. Greenland. Donald Trump's not the first one to want Greenland. There was an effort in 1867 to get Greenland by Seward, who of course has been in the Lincoln cabinet. There was an effort in 1947 by Truman to go do it. But we have an air base there. We closed two others. It's controlled by Denmark, which is a NATO ally. So all we do is negotiate to reopen some more of these, maybe get some of the ports, get deals for the minerals, doesn't actually need to own. Panama Canal, same thing. We turned it over to them. We had a big victory last week when the Chinese company, Hong Kong company that owns ports at both ends, sold to BlackRock, an American hedge fund. If you're looking at Gaza, which he talked about owning, he's sort of stopped on that one. And then the one that he just kept up with today, even with Secretary General Rutte of NATO in the office, was Canada. This is the one that makes the least sense. Closest ally. He's arguing about a treaty that defines the boundary between 120 years. Somehow wants to go reopen it, and You could get a lot further with the Canadians just by negotiating with them about what you want out of the alliance.
And yet, there's a lot of alienation occurring right now, which makes it a very, very different relationship all of a sudden. Gentlemen, thank you both so much. Really important to hear from both of you. Ahead, a story to talk about. A man claiming he was held captive in his own home by his own family from the time that he was a child until he was 32. And the police, they say what they saw, unfathomable.
It's shuddering to think that someone would treat any person, let alone a family member or someone that was.
It was 6 feet away. This moment of people pounding on the glass doors, shouting shame on you, and other chants, extremely loud, yelling, wanting their voices to be heard. But I did also hear from other constituents saying thank you to Congressman Edwards for even holding an in-person town hall to begin with. Laura.
Isabel, thank you so much. I want to bring in CNN analyst and New York Times White House correspondent, Zolan Youngs, former senior advisor to Trump Vance's presidential campaign, Brian Lanza, and former special assistant to President Biden, Michael DeRosa. Thank you all for being here. I'll begin with you, Zolan, because you know the president has paid attention in the past, particularly when it comes to veterans. Will this resonate with them?
I mean, we'll have to see. I think for the White House right now, it's not going to be an individual town hall, more so what that represents broadly. Now, I do think what could resonate is right now, I believe it was a CNN poll that found this week that the perception of Trump's handling, that the approval rating of Trump's handling of the economy essentially mirrors his overall approval rating right now, about 44-45%. That's a difference from the first term. In the first term, when he came into office, consistently, the approval rating, his handling of the economy was higher than his overall approval rating. I say that, and I connect it to this event, because when you have economic frustration, you have to wonder if the patience will start to lower for some of the actions that we're seeing in Washington. We've mentioned often that this upending of the federal bureaucracy is not going to impact people in D.C., people jobs throughout the country. You add that to economic frustration, potentially during higher consumer prices as you see more tariffs. Well, then will you start to see more examples of town halls like this?
Well, Republicans have been told not to do these for a town hall. I don't know if that's the solution to kind of cover your ears to what's happening, but what do you make of an evening like that where they're obviously hearing it from people about their frustrations?
Listen, town halls are tough. The Republicans should hear it, and they should hold it. I mean, they should get in front of as many people and make their case. President Trump made his case in November of why he should get elected. He wanted to shrink government, wanted to focus on the economy, wanted to end the war. You know, he is doing those things. The things that he's doing are defensible. He can actually talk about what the progress are making with respect to these things. He has to have these conversations. And the best line of defense is going to be those House members that are doing it. So I think it's a disservice that we're asking them not to do it. I think they need to get there. They need to prep it. They need to have the smart questions. But I also think the theatrics plays into our hands. You know, the veteran, he has a strong voice. He should say something. But he has to be respectful in this conversation because the vast majority of people in town halls are respectful. And we've seen over the years, it's gotten this disrespectful tone. And actually helps President Trump. And that's what I think. And, I think you have to have the precedent. The reality is, you're right. CNN poll earlier this week or last week, I think it showed that people have had less confidence in President Trump with respect to consumer prices. We see this week. We saw inflation is now going down, and we saw the price of gas and eggs go down. So you can't measure it week after week. You have to measure it month to month. And then in 1 month's time, you see within a lot of the price of eggs. The gas prices go down. Those are a good thing.
I mean, interesting that to ask somebody before this town hall to be respectful. I understand the premise, but they feel as though they are not just being disrespected, but they are being actively harmed. They're speaking out at these town halls. Democrats, I know now, are thinking about holding their own town halls in Republican areas to be able to hear this. Is that the right way to react to this and perhaps seize on it?
Well, I saw Governor Walter speaking that I would actually agree with them on the response that the congressman had in terms of holding these town halls. I think it's the right thing to do. Democrats can learn lessons from this. You don't retreat when you're under attack, right? You have to, as James Carville once said, or Bill Clinton once said, actually, you have to run into the fire. as Democrats, when it comes to the press, we run away from the fire. We've been doing that a lot for the last couple of years. We actually run into it. And so there is a culture in the Democratic Party right now that has treated the press as a hazard instead of an opportunity. And I didn't always agree with that approach, but that was the approach that the Biden White House took, and the Biden campaign took all the time. I never understood it. I came from television, so my instinct is to always engage. But too many staffers, too many strategists in our party are too fearful, too skeptical, and treat the press with suspicion, which doesn't engender the trust you need on both sides to get the job done, and it doesn't help Democrats sell their message.
It's been more than just press relation, the caution with the press, too, when it comes to Democrats. It also seems like there's an intentional strategy right now by Democrats up until this point to be really, really cautious about choosing what to swing at.
Okay, let's move. I've passed you some locations. Play it simple. We're flipping every rock over. Forums that thought they could take Lab Rat, hit the freak shop, and get away with it. I'm thinking this is a revenge hit. Probably those biker fucks are those goddamn hippies. Cousin Wade gave us the location of some of their hideouts. Get over there and see if they have Lab Rat. At the very least, we'll find a clue. Screw these guys.
It was held in by 9 feet by 8 feet. The windows wouldn't open, the door locked from the outside. It was a dormer room, the ceiling sloped down, so there's issues around that. He was allowed out for about between 2 hours or 15 minutes in that range once a day. He was fed 2 bottles of water and 2 sandwiches a day. That's all he had. He had to rig a makeshift way to drain the urine out of the bottles that he had in the room while he was in there. So it's unfathomable to think of what he went through.
And this is somebody who's 32 years old now. I mean, the arrest warrant in that he alleges that he was held captive in that house since he was 11. But he remembers things going back to when he was just 3 years old. I mean, how were they able to possibly hide this alleged abuse for so many years?
Well, you know, he was withdrawn from school when he was going into third grade. He was about 11 years old. He was homeschooled, and there's really no connection between the city or the state and families that are being homeschooled here in Connecticut. There was a lot of psychological and other intimidation that went on with him when he came to the house. He was told to be quiet. They rarely had any visitors. And I think over time, his stepmother was telling him that if he behaved himself, she would try to let him out more, so she kind of tried to control him that way as well. From the time he was 11, he doesn't remember ever leaving the house except for one incident when he was about 12 years old, when he accompanied his father to the dump to dispose of some leaves. But the rest of the time, he was locked in that room except for, about 2 hours a day, sometimes only 15 minutes a day did he get out.
I can't even contemplate this level of cruelty that you're describing. It's thinking about how elementary school students, children, myself, and the idea of all the many steps that must have failed this person. I mean, the victim's former elementary school principal is speaking out, saying that the school notified the Department of Children and Family Services on several occasions. Listen.
We knew it. We reported it. Not a damn thing was done. That's the tragedy of the whole thing. Everyone really was concerned with this child since he was 5 years old. You knew something was wrong. It was grossly wrong. Sorry, we couldn't do more. You went through more than any of us ever will go through in our lives.
Seriously, guys, think about that in the arrest warrant. The victim states that child services visited the home twice, and he was told to tell them everything was okay. There. How could something like this be missed?
We didn't know they were called twice. That was the point at which he ended up being homeschooled. So that's when he withdrew from the system. There was no more connection with him. At one point, shortly after he was homeschooled, we do know that some of his former classmates were concerned because they didn't see him any longer. They called DCF. They contacted the Waterbury Police Department. We sent an officer out to visit the home to talk to the child. He came back and reported that everything was okay. And after that, it just sort of fell through the cracks or fell out of the any notice at that point and continued on. So I do think that we've made some strides in the last 20 years for reporting requirements and things where people would notice these things. And, I think anyone who knows or is concerned something's going on ought to, feel comfortable with reporting it. It's better to report something and have it turned out not to be true than to allow something like this to go on for 20 years because you're not sure what to do about it.
So true. Just imagine the lives that you could save and what so many might be enduring. Mayor Paul University, thank you. We'll be following this story very closely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great.
For gentle, dependable constipation relief, try Senecon. It works differently than other laxatives because it's made from the senna plant, a natural vegetable laxative ingredient. Gentle, dependable Senecon. Also available in delicious gummies.
Black Bag is the first blade filled up in here.
That's so hot.
Black Bag won't get better than this. When I get that Black Bag, it often won't be dangerous to all sexual engagements until the
All right, so that's one pair of prescription glasses.
Yep.
Plus anti-reflective lens coating.
Oh.
Award-winning customer service. That's also me.
I see.
And free frame adjustments for life.
And that's included in the...
$95.
Oh.
Welcome to Warby Parker. ChemDry has been a trusted name in carpet cleaning for over 45 years. And for good reason. ChemDry uses the perfect combination of nature's chemistry, along with our core cleaner, the natural, to provide a deeper, longer-lasting clean to your carpet's area rugs and upholstery. Millions of carbonating bubbles remove the dirt, allergens, and stains from deep within your surfaces, giving you a healthier home. Call 1-800-ChemDry or visit chemdry.com. ChemDry, the healthier, deeper carpet cleaner.
When my doctor gave me Breastfeed for my COPD, I noticed things changed. Breastfeed gave me better breathing starting within 5 minutes. It also reduced flares.
Breastfeed won't replace a rescue meal for some breathing problems. It is not for asthma. Tell your doctor if you have a heart condition or high blood pressure before taking it. Don't take Breastfeed more than prescribed. Breastfeed may increase your risk of thrush, pneumonia, and osteoporosis. Call your doctor if voice and breathing, chest pain, mouth or tongue swelling, problems urinating, vision changes, or eye pain occur.
Ask your doctor about Breastfeed.
Liberty Mutual is all she talks about since we saved hundreds by bundling our home and auto insurance.
It's pronounced Liberty. Liberty. Nice try, kid. Only pay for what you need. When I started walking goggle glasses, I needed a website. GoDaddy Hero uses AI to make a beautiful website so fast it'll blow my customers' noggins while they're shopping for goggles for their noggins.
My accountant, who uses unsecured email, has all my tax info.
Tax forms have all the personal info thieves need to steal your identity. That's why LifeLock monitors millions of data points for identity theft. Get a first-year offer at LifeLock.com.
Some things are unknowable, inescapable, set in stone from the day we're born. And some aren't. Through HIMS, I get access to a range of options made with movement treatments to stop haircuts and regrow hair. Formulations personalized and prescribed by licensed medical providers 100% online. Great tradition with HIMS. For regrowth in 3 to 6 months. Get started today at HIMS.com.
This is hard. He's never really thought much about his credit score. Until he got credit karma and used his credit scores to move on up. By putting in the work to improve the scores, he got access to a better credit card. And that's so pursued. And when it came time to buy a home of his own, Credit Karma helped him take things to the next level. Just in time. Into a Credit Karma. Karma you can count on. Download the app today.
United States of Scandal with Jake Tapper, Sunday at 9 on CNN.
Closed captioning is brought to you by Skechers Hands-Free Slip-Ins.
This tiny home trend
Now, this is more like it. The same goes for my footwear, so I went hands-free with wide-fit Skechers slip-in. Try wide-fit Skechers slip-in.
Before we go tonight, don't miss an all-new episode of the CNN original series, Twitter, Breaking the Bird. It focuses on Twitter's early rise and its increasing influence on politics.
I came into work one morning, I get to the office, sweating, and back, I walk all the way, and Jason Goldman says, Ev's downstairs waiting for you in his car. And I was like, what are you talking about? And Ev had his Porsche. We got in, I was like, so Goldman says we're going somewhere. Where are we going? He was like, we're going to talk to Mark Zuckerberg. Mark is interested in acquiring Twitter, so we're going to Palo Alto. And this is the first time I'm hearing about any of this. So I was like, okay, if he says, like, what's the number, like, what do you guys want? He just say something so outlandishly ridiculous. And I started, like, laughing before I could even say it, because I made it the biggest number I could think of. $500 million.
The new episode of Twitter, Breaking the Bird, airs Sunday night at 10 o'clock, only on CNN. Well, thank you all for watching. Anderson Cooper 360 is next.
Tonight on 360, guess who else is worrying about tariffs? Tesla, owned by Elon Musk. The latest discovered letter from the company as a key market index sinks even further. Also tonight, Putin says he has reservations about a ceasefire deal. We'll tell you what President Trump said about that. And later, an in-depth look at what the FDA administrator announcement in U.S. history, possible health concerns for red and blue states alike. Good evening. We start with breaking news. In this hour, it looks as though a government shutdown, which was set to occur about 28 hours from now, may be averted. Senate Republicans needed at least 8 Democrats to join them to pass the House stopgap funding bill known as a CR.
Capitalize on Russia's unenthusiastic reaction to the 30-day ceasefire proposal for Ukraine. Russian President Vladimir Putin expressed reservations about the proposal after Moscow received it on Thursday, raised so many questions about how it would work. He made it clear that Ukraine has already signed off on the plan. President Vladimir Zelensky accused the Kremlin of dragging its feet without saying no to it. Here it is.
Now we have also Russia, very predictable, very manipulative words from Putin in response to the idea of ceasefire on the front line. He is actually preparing for refusal as of now. Putin, of course, is afraid to tell President Trump directly that he wants to continue this war.
U.S. President Donald Trump reacted to the Kremlin's answer while meeting with NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte. Trump said he still has leverage to turn up the pressure on Russia if needed, but he wouldn't say how. He suggested Putin's response was a good start.
We put out a very promising statement, but it wasn't complete. And yeah, I'd love to meet with him or thousands of people a week are dying. So we really don't have very much time. We have to make this fast. It shouldn't be very complicated.
CNN's Fred Peiken is in Moscow with more on Russia's response.
Just hours after visiting his generals near the front lines in the Kursk region, Russian leader Vladimir Putin back in Moscow pouring cold water on President Trump's initiative for an immediate ceasefire to Ukraine.
I would like to begin with words of gratitude to the US President, Mr. Trump, for paying so much attention to the settlement in Ukraine. We agree with the proposals to end hostilities, but we proceed from the fact that this end should be such that it would lead to a long-term peace and eliminate the root causes of this crisis.
Well, what do you know?
In other words, the Russians want to hammer out a full peace deal before ending the fighting. As the Trump administration says, the shooting should stop immediately. The U.S. president had hoped Putin would fully endorse his proposal.
Now we're going to see whether or not Russia's there, and if they're not, it'll be a very disappointing moment for the world.
This as Russian forces say they've been making major gains in the Kursk region, Ukraine's last small foothold on Russian territory. Putin soldiers are now patrolling the streets in small towns leveled by the battles. There was fierce fighting here, the soldier said. Ukrainian troops brought in heavy equipment and shot at the building point blank. But the buildings are strong, the walls are strong, so the defense held up. Putin went on to say he has concerns that the Ukrainians will use a ceasefire to regroup and rearm if Moscow's troops take their foot off the gas now.
So these 30 days will be used how? So that forced mobilization continues in Ukraine, so that weapons are delivered there, so that units undergo training? Or if nothing of such sort will happen, then the question arises, how would the issue of control and verification be resolved? And how will we be guaranteed that nothing like this will happen?
While the Ukrainians have fully signed off on the ceasefire proposal and say they're willing to implement it immediately, the Russians say they see little benefit in freezing the fighting, although Putin says he wants to see the war come to an end.
I think that we need to talk about this with our American colleagues, partners, maybe call President Trump and discuss it with him. But the idea itself to end this conflict by peaceful means is supported by us.
Reflected CNN, Moscow.
And for more analysis, we're joined by retired Colonel Cedric Leighton, who is a CNN military analyst. Good to see you again. So I want to start with Moscow's reaction to this ceasefire proposal. Putin saying the general idea is fine, but he has all sorts of conditions. So what do you make of where things stand right now? Is Putin just essentially playing for time here?
Yeah, I think so, Kim. Good to be with you again. This is one of those classic Russian moves where they will accept things in principle and it will look good, with them saying nice things. But now we're getting into a point where what you're actually seeing is the efforts to draw things out. So what Putin is doing is basically listing a few conditions that will be very difficult, if not impossible, for the Ukrainians to meet. And that will then really, I think, make it very hard for the Americans to come in and try to get a deal from. We'll see, of course, what happens with Mr. Witkoff's trip to Moscow, see if that bears any fruit. But I think the idea that this will become a ceasefire that will last 30 days or so, that's going to take a while to get there if it ever happens.
So as you say, we're waiting to hear of any outcome from Witkoff's trip. Putin has got so much from Trump so far. Is it possible that he has no incentive to negotiate with anyone except for Trump, if at all?
Yeah, I think that's actually quite key. One of the things that's very interesting is when you look at what President Zelensky of Ukraine said in response to what Putin said in his press conference. I consider that as Zelensky trying to determine what Putin had been saying. And the fact of the matter is that when you look at the way in which Putin is dealing with this, he believes that the only interlocutors people that he can talk to are basically Trump and that's going to be, I think, very difficult for the Ukrainian side because they will be, I think, concerned, rightly concerned, that the U.S. will give away too much when it comes to working with the Russians. And that's something that we'll see potential territorial issues come about with Ukraine. There will also be demands, perhaps on NATO itself. Certainly the idea that Ukraine would not become a member of NATO, that might be something that shows up. And we also will perhaps see a demand that the Russians don't want NATO to be posted as its troops posted as far east as they currently are. So we'll see what the Russians do. Hopefully the right moves will be made by both the United States and by Ukraine. But it is definitely a difficult situation that we're entering into at this point.
Yeah, all that's still to be determined. You talked about territory. So on the battlefield, it looks more and more like Russia will recapture all of what it lost in Kursk. Kursk was expected to be used by Ukraine as a bargaining chip in these negotiations with the Kremlin. So if Russia does reclaim it all, what would that mean tactically and politically for both sides?
Yeah, tactically, of course, it's going to be hard for the Ukrainians to maintain their presence at Kursk, especially if reports are accurate that about 50% of the territory that
the Ukrainians had captured is now back with Russian. So that really limits their leverage. And in essence, they have no leverage in that particular territory that they had taken back in this past summer. But part of it, I was looking at, I appreciate very difficult effort by the Ukrainians to negotiations that were put together. The whole territory in adjacent parts of Ukraine. So this means that just south of the Kerch region, that is going to be something where the Ukrainians will have to make sure that they have enough of a force there that can keep the Russians on their side of the border. So that's going to be key for the Ukrainians. We also have to watch what the Russians are doing with Belarus, because the meeting that Putin had today with President Lukashenko of Belarus, that really shows that there is a deepening alliance between the two countries, and we can't forget that Belarus was one of the jumping off points to the invasion that occurred back in February of 2022.
Not so much in the balance right now, both militarily and diplomatically. Always great to get you on the balance, Colonel Sedgwick. Thank you so much.
You bet, Jim. Anytime.
U.S. stocks plunged Thursday as President Donald Trump threatened to impose new tariffs on European allies. Probably the Dow fell 537 points. That dropped 2%, and the S&P tumbled into correction territory, down 10% from its record high last month. The sell-off extends a rout in the U.S. markets driven by uncertainty around Trump's tariffs, but Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says he's not worried about what he called a little bit of volatility in areas.
What we're focused on is we're focused on the real economy. Can we create an environment where there are long-term gains in the market and long-term gains for the American people? I'm not concerned about a little bit of volatility over 3 weeks.
President Trump is now vowing to slap a 200% tariff on wine, champagne, and other alcohol products from Europe, unless the European Union removes a tariff it put on U.S. whiskey. On a social media post, he called the EU, quote, one of the most hostile and abusive taxing and tariffing authorities in the world. European Commissioner Michael McGrath told CNN the escalating trade war will cost jobs and hurt businesses. Here
we will respond in a firm but a proportionate way. But this is not where we want to be. Tariffs are ultimately a tax on consumers here in the United States and in Europe, and it will hurt businesses and it will cost jobs.
CNN's Jeff Zeleny is following the latest developments at the White House.
As President Trump ends another week here at the White House, the financial markets have been roiled once again, reacting to the trade war and the tariff policies that have really driven down stocks and have raised questions about this administration's policies. But the president on Thursday saying he's taking the long view.
We're not going to bend. We've been ripped off as a country for many, many years. We don't need their cars. We don't need their energy. We don't need their lumber. Now there'll be a little disruption, but it won't be very long. If they need us, we really don't need them.
The president's saying it won't be very long, but that, of course, will be one of the metrics to which he is judged going forward. Will the markets still continue to have an adverse reaction to what these policies are doing? Now, the White House says, look, the market goes up, the market goes down. But it is clear the uncertainty that the trade war has signaled is really sparking uncertainty in the markets. The president, though, embracing this policy, is looking ahead to even more tariffs when the reciprocal ones go into effect in April. The bottom line to all of this, the White House saying, look, judge the president by what he did in his first term, but the reality is he's now being judged by his policies of the second. Jeff Zeleny, CNN, the White House.
U.S. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer is defending his decision to support a Republican spending bill which would avert a government shutdown. It's now surprised many Democrats who are ready for a fight against President Trump and congressional Republicans. Schumer says a shutdown would put every part of the government at Trump's disposal. There he is.
I have said many times there are no winners in a government shutdown. But there are certainly victims. I believe it is my job to make the best choice for the country, to minimize the harms to the American people.
House Democrat Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez still plans to oppose the bill. She says some members of her party feel betrayed by Schumer. The source says some Democrats are so angry they're encouraging her to challenge him for his Senate seat. The Trump Tower lobby in Manhattan arrested as they demand the release of Mahmoud Khalil, the Columbia University graduate detained for his on-campus activism. That's next. Plus, dramatic video of passengers escaping a burning aircraft by evacuating onto its wing. We'll have much more on that and more coming up. Please stay.
Excellence on your journey. X to Sport. Kumho Tire.
Messes happen every day in every way, but who wants to drag out that bulky vacuum? Hey folks, Joe Fowler here with my favorite cleaning partner, the Duck. A super compact vac with ultra powerful suction. This is a small but mighty Duck, making it quick and easy to clean up any mess. Just duck it up. The compact design can reach the tightest places. It's smaller than a water bottle. Oh, but look at this. It even fits inside my pocket. So store it in any drawer where it's always at your fingertips. Plus, it dumps out with ease, so it's ready to clean again.
I used to have to drag out this huge thing they call a portable vacuum cleaner. Now I keep the Duck in my kitchen drawer and I clean up messes in 2 seconds.
The turbocharged motor is engineered to create a powerful vortex of suction, while the HEPA filter helps remove dust and allergens. Let's prove the power of the Duck. I attach it to the hose. It's going to pull the water right up through the tube. Clean up that mess in the kitchen, the spill on the sofa, even the sawdust and screws in the workshop. Plus, it's rechargeable. Got messy pets? Duck powerfully picks up pet hair from anywhere. You can even store it in your glove box for the ultimate car vac. Clean seats, the floor, and deep into those hard-to-reach places. I promise the Duck will change the way you clean.
Get the Horsepower Duck hand vac for just $39.99. Order right now and we'll upgrade you to the Duck Pro package. A $30 value, yours free. You get the bendable tube to get under appliances, the crevice nozzle to reach into those wax and crevices, and the brush nozzle to vacuum with no scratches. You get the Duck with all the deluxe attachments, but supplies are limited, so there's a strict limit of 3 per order. This may be your last chance to get yours at this low, low price. So don't delay. Duck it up to
908-1581 or visit duckback.com. So call 1-800-908-1581 or visit duckback.com. Order now.
Stay tuned to get this 5-piece bakeware set, a $60 value, absolutely free. Tired of that pan that always sticks? It's so scratched and worn, you can't cook in it.
Hi, Chef Daniel Green here with my new hammered pans from Gotham Steel. This complete 9-piece set is guaranteed to beautify your kitchen like never before.
Gosh, what I love most about this design is this hammered copper look. It would just look so fantastic hanging in my kitchen.
Wow, this is a beautiful pan. It looks great. Look at those eggs dancing around in there. I tell you, I'm sold. Where do I get these? I love them.
Hammered pans are ultra non-stick. Nothing sticks. Even gooey mac and cheese slips out with ease. And look, these sticky candies melted with a torch are no match for hammered pans. Plus, they're super durable, so use metal beaters straight in the pan for a gourmet souffle that slips out and a pan that looks just like new. They're even oven safe up to 500 degrees. So bake homemade chicken pot pie, cheesy lasagna, or this whole chicken dinner. Any recipe looks great in these pans, from steak flambe to delicious desserts and delicate fish. Nothing sticks. Plus, the entire set is dishwasher safe and PFOA free.
Similar sets are over $1,000, but you won't pay that, not $500 or even $300. Get the full 9-piece Gotham Steel hammered set for just 5 payments of $49.99, and we'll even ship it to you free. But order now and we'll drop 1 payment. That's just 4 payments of $49.99, and we'll even guarantee it for a full 10 years. Plus, we'll include this free steamer and strainer, and our 5-piece bakeware set with every pan you'll ever need to make delicious breads, cakes, and desserts. Together, these are an $80 value. Yours 100% free. That's a huge 15-piece set with free shipping. Call or click now.
To order, call 1-800-807-6648 or go to buyhammered.com. That's 1-800-807-6648, or you can order online at buyhammered.com.
For World Sport, I'm Don Riddell, and this is CNN.
Protesters filled the atrium at Trump Tower in New York on Thursday to denounce the arrest of Palestinian activist and U.S. resident Mahmoud Khalil. Demonstrators chanted, "Free Mahmoud Khalil," and unfurled banners that read, "Never again for anyone." 98 people were arrested. Khalil remains detained by immigration authorities over his involvement in last year's protests at Columbia University against the war in Gaza. CNN's Mark Jimenez has details on the Trump Tower protests.
A little less than 100 protesters were arrested in total for demonstrating inside Trump Tower in support of Mahmoud Khalil, the now former Columbia University student who last year was one of the leaders, or who helped lead some of the protests we saw happen on that campus. He's currently being held at an ICE detention facility in Louisiana. But as for the protesters here, they entered Trump Tower with jackets and coats on, as we understand from the law enforcement source, and then opened those jackets and coats up to reveal those red shirts. That's when the chanting began. Law enforcement showed up not too long after, asked them to leave, which some did, but then others did not, and many were then zip-tied with their hands behind their backs before they were put onto buses to then face what we understand to be some minor charges. Now, as they were being let out, groups started to form or in the area outside of Trump Tower, and we heard chants, things like "Fight Nazis, not students," of course, in reference to Khalil. The group that organized these protests, known as Jewish Voice for Peace, they describe themselves as a grassroots organization, but they do typically support many Palestinian causes. Take a listen to what one of the leaders of that group told me about some of why they wanted to be here.
We ourselves are Jewish, and we know what happens when a government, be it the Israeli government or our own government, when an authoritarian government starts scapegoating and targeting and making threats and or genocidal actions against people, we know where that leads. As Jews, we know our history, and we are here to say never again.
Now, she also said they believe President Trump and the Trump administration are infringing upon Khalil's civil rights. The administration has equated Khalil's protest activity to terrorism. At least the president has on social media supporting terrorism. And the deportation efforts come under a broad range of power that the Secretary of State has to deport someone who may have adverse effects on United States foreign policy interests. Regardless, Khalil's attorneys have argued that all of this is just retaliation for protest activity and infringing upon Khalil's First Amendment rights, which green card holders generally do have. Mark Jimenez, CNN.
A new report by a UN commission accuses Israel of carrying out, quote, genocidal acts against Palestinians in Gaza. The report published Thursday says Israeli authorities partially destroyed the reproductive capability of Palestinians in Gaza as a group through the systemic destruction of sexual and reproductive healthcare facilities. The commission also cited the growing proportion of female deaths and the targeting of women and girls in Gaza, which the UN says is meant to terrorize Palestinians.
The frequency, prevalence, and severity of sexual and gender-based crimes perpetrated across the occupied Palestinian territory leads the Commission to conclude that sexual and gender-based violence is increasingly used as a method of war by Israel to destabilize, dominate, oppress and destroy the Palestinian people.
The Israeli mission to the UN said Israel categorically rejects what it says are unfounded allegations. According to another new report from the UN, rape and sexual violence against children is skyrocketing in parts of the Democratic Republic of Congo. The horrifying attacks come as violence in the eastern region of the DRC reaches its most serious point in more than a decade of conflict. And Sam Abdulaziz brings us some of the accounts as told by the survivors themselves.
A crisis of rape and sexual violence against children is unfolding in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. There, aid workers tell us hundreds of children have been raped, most by armed men, according to UNICEF. Now, we have testimonies from 2 survivors, but before I read them, I want to give you a trigger warning. We're also going to keep the identities of these victims anonymous for their protection. These are the words of a 14-year-old girl.
I have no mother, no father. My grandmother is the only family I have left.
She has cared for me all my life, despite her old age and fragile health. On the night of January 26th, around 9 p.m., during the armed clashes, 2 men with guns entered our home. My grandmother could do nothing but watch as they raped me. She cried, but she was powerless. We kept it a secret. I didn't tell anyone. My grandmother was too ashamed and afraid.
Now, one of the most dangerous things for a child to do in the Democratic Republic of the Congo today is to draw water from a well. That's how this nightmare began for a mother of 2. My 2 daughters, ages 15 and 13, became victims of rape this morning. They were going to draw water when 6 armed men isolated them and raped them in turn. I wanted to intervene, but I had just escaped death after being shot at twice. My daughters are in very critical condition. Please pray for them. We need your support and help. The fighting in the Democratic Republic of the Congo continues to escalate, and aid workers say they are receiving cases of children raped by armed men on a near daily basis. Samoto Aziz, CNN, London.
Man who says his stepmother held him captive for more than 20 years will share his story and how he risked his life to finally escape. That's next. Stick.
Ritz chocolate cake.
You're gonna get sick. You need pumpkin.
I love pumpkin.
It's not food, it's pet insurance. So when you get hurt or sick and you need expensive medicine or surgery,
Pet insurance from Pumpkin can help.
go to pumpkin.care.
Did the re-election of Donald Trump play any role in your decision to resign?
Why do you need to study it? It sounds like the facts are on your fingertip.
Great question. You continue to fight for your name to be cleared. Why?
Do you have any concerns about Elon Musk? There really is good consequences as Americans. Dan Danvers, devices. The moment consequences for the nation and the world.
Watch The Lead today on CNN.
I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Happiness could lead to living longer. You want to know how? On my podcast, Chasing Life, I'm uncovering the secrets of people around the world who are living happy, healthy, extraordinary lives. Hear how they do it and the science behind why it works. Join me as I reveal their secrets and discover how we can chase life together. Listen to Chasing Life with me, Dr. Sanjay Gupta, wherever you get your podcasts.
Can we connect you with stories from around the globe? We're on the ground to follow the facts. We examine big ideas. We let diverse perspectives flow and ignite conversations that matter most to bring the world to you. Stay informed, stay connected, stay invested. From our studios in Abu Dhabi, join me for Connect the World with Becky Anderson.
Today on CNN. This is CNN. More people get their news from CNN than any other news source. All new inside Africa. We see a continent in transformation as trailblazers evolve technology and industry across Africa and beyond. Hear from the people fighting to preserve their heritage for the next generation.
If this tradition stops, then the history of Maasai people also is gone.
Inside Africa on CNN in association with Zenith Bank.
It's a European marketplace that's constantly evolving.
We're all in this together.
From the energy sector,
It sounds
very cool.
Yeah, it really feels like fasting.
To technology,
This is the next generation of computing.
wow. The latest in luxury.
What we're doing is world class.
Are you more drawn to the classic? I'm a classic girl. I'm Anna Stewart. And I'm Claire Sebastian. Join us for Marketplace Europe.
Saturday on CNN.
I'm Richard Quest. I love traveling the world. From the mind, from the heart. Not yet. It's time to embrace new adventures. Oh, I don't know. The fun they can take. It's world water. Saturday on CNN.
It's not just a donation.
It's a warm blanket. It's a bottle of plain water.
It's a roof and a bed. Please donate now to help people affected by the 2025 California wildfires. It's not just a donation.
It's a warm blanket. It's a bottle of clean water.
It's a roof and a bed.
It's knowing someone cares.
It's feeling safe.
You said today, that's better than yesterday.
Every dollar you can spare helps so much more than you can imagine. Donate now to help people affected by the 2025 California wildfires. Your support is urgently needed.
3, 2, 1.
Watch TV.
I'm Dane Asha, and this is CNN.
Who the hell are you? Oh, my apologies. My name is Dr. Isaiah Friedlander, PhD.
Welcome back to all you watching us around the world. I'm Kim Brunhuber. This is CNN Newsroom. Emergency crews in the U.S. state of Connecticut made a disturbing discovery last month while responding to a house fire. At the property, they found a middle-aged woman and her 32-year-old stepson who claimed he'd been kept secret his entire life and revealed startling allegations of abuse. CNN's Gene Casares has the story.
33 years of law enforcement, this is the worst treatment of humanity that I've ever witnessed.
When authorities were called to a home on fire, they were looking for anyone who may be trapped inside.
Officers and fire investigators quickly realized that there was a room in the house that appeared to have locks on it from the exterior portion of the house.
A 32-year-old man was locked inside that room.
They began to speak to the male victim, who disclosed that he was being held captive in the house for an extended period of time.
The man was treated for smoke inhalation, and police say he admitted to setting the fire to gain his freedom. He also told them he'd been held captive for more than 20 years by his stepmother since he was about 11 years old. He said he was only fed 2 sandwiches and 2 cups of water a day. Authorities say he was held in an 8 by 9 foot storage room with no heat or air conditioning, and he suffered serious physical consequences. According to a police affidavit, the 32-year-old is 5 feet 9 inches tall and just 68.7 pounds.
There's a lot of physical therapy that he'll have to go through. There's a lot of healing that he'll have to go through.
According to law enforcement, authorities went to the home twice in April of 2004. The first visit was a welfare check requested by the Department of Children and Families.
Officers went to the house. The house was clean. It was lived in. They spoke to the victim at that point in time. There were no cause for any alarm.
Later that month, the family attempted to file harassment charges because the school district continued reporting the family to DCF. The affidavit says after that, his stepmother pulled him out of school.
It's just unfathomable that anyone could treat someone this way.
The alleged victim says he wasn't allowed to use the bathroom and instead had to use bottles and newspaper. His stepmother, Kimberly Sullivan, was arrested on charges of assault, second-degree kidnapping, and first-degree unlawful restraint. Her attorney says the allegations against her are not true.
Absolutely not true. He was not locked in a room. She did not restrain him in any way. She provided food. She provided shelter. She is blown away by these allegations.
Gene Casares, CNN, New York.
Hearing moments at the Denver airport. An engine on a plane caught fire and passengers were forced to evacuate walking onto the wing of the aircraft. What's next? Stay with us.
Excellent secretary. Next to sport, Kumo Tire.
Messes happen every day in every way. But who wants to drag out that bulky vacuum? Hey folks, Joe Fowler here with my favorite cleaning partner, the Duck.
We lost them. Let's get home.
Sorry, Dax.
Sorry, nothing. Fresh meat. Get us back to the freak shop. Let's go.
Thanks for your help getting this one back.
We're gonna get Friedlander for this. I got a special move all saved up for him. Dax, I got a present for you. Dax.
Oh.
Nozzle to vacuum with no scratches. You'll get the Duck with all the deluxe attachments, but supplies are limited, so there's a strict limit of 3 per order. This may be your last chance to get yours at this low, low price. So don't delay. Duck it up today.
Call 1-800-908-1581 or visit duckback.com. So call 1-800-908-1581 or visit duckback.com. Order now.
Stay tuned to get this 5-piece bakeware set, a $60 value, absolutely free. Tired of that pan that always sticks? It's so scratched and worn, you can't cook in it.
Hi, Chef Daniel Green here with my new hammer pans from Gotham Steel. This complete 9-piece set is guaranteed to beautify your kitchen like never before.
Gosh, what I love most about this design is this hammered copper look. It would just look so fantastic hanging in my kitchen.
Wow, this is a beautiful pan. It looks great. Look at those eggs dancing around in there. I tell you, I'm sold. Where do I get these? I love them.
Hammered pans are ultra non-stick. Nothing sticks. Even gooey mac and cheese slips out with ease. And look, these sticky candies melted with a torch are no match for hammered pans. Plus, they're super durable, so use metal beaters straight in the pan for a gourmet souffle that slips out and a pan that looks just like new. They're even oven safe up to 500 degrees. So bake homemade chicken pot pie, cheesy lasagna, or this whole chicken dinner. Any recipe looks great in these pans. From steak flambe to delicious desserts and delicate fish, nothing sticks. Plus, the entire set is dishwasher safe and PFOA free.
Similar sets are over $1,000, but you will pay that, not $500 or even $300. Get the full 9-piece Gotham Steel hammered set for just 5 payments of $49.99, and we'll even ship it to you free. But order now and we'll drop 1 payment. That's just 4 payments of $49.99, and we'll even guarantee it for a full 10 years. Plus, we'll include this free steamer and strainer, and our 5-piece bakeware set with every pan you'll ever need to make delicious breads, cakes, and desserts. Together, these are an $80 value. Yours 100% free. That's a huge 15-piece set with free shipping. Call or click now.
To order, call 1-800-807-6648 or go to buyhammered.com. That's 1-800-807-6648, or you can order online at buyhammered.com.
I'm Wolf Blitzer. This is CNN.
Well, the shocking scene at the airport in Denver, Colorado on Thursday as dozens of airplane passengers were forced to evacuate a burning jet by climbing onto its wing. CNN's Pete Wintine has more.
Images are dramatic, showing a commercial flight on the ground on fire and the successful evacuation of its passengers, according to American Airlines. It says its flight 1006 had just landed at Denver International Airport after diverting there only moments before. The flight was on its way on Thursday from Colorado Springs to Dallas-Fort Worth when the crew, according to the FAA, apparently reported an engine vibration and decided to divert to Denver. The FAA says the flight taxied to the gate where the right engine caught on fire. You can see in the images the response from first responders there at the airport trying to put this fire out, and passengers deplaning from the overwing exits onto the left wing of this plane, a Boeing 737-800, not a 737 MAX. It uses engines from CFM. That's a French-American conglomerate. Investigators from the FAA will no doubt want to look at the engines and figure out what caused this fire to happen. Still some major questions here, and some major questions about the evacuation. Passengers waiting for other flights in the terminal there at Denver International Airport said they had to watch helplessly as these passengers evacuated. They said they looked onto this terrified.
The two astronauts stuck on the International Space Station will have to wait a bit longer to return home. Their replacement's launch was scrubbed on Wednesday and is now scheduled to take off on Friday. NASA's Sonny Williams and Butch Wilmore have been on the ISS for 9 months. They were only meant to be there for several days. NASA says a ground issue was to blame for the launch delay. When the SpaceX rocket does launch, it will carry astronauts from the U.S. and Japan, a Russian cosmonaut, to the ISS. Outrage and disbelief in Australia after video reportedly showed an American tourist picking up, running off with, and then releasing a wild baby wombat. On the background, you can see Joey's distressed mother chasing after the woman and then hovering near the car. Wombats are marsupials native to Australia and protected by law. Australia's Prime Minister had some choice words for Sam Jones, the woman in the video. Here he is.
They are gentle, lovely creatures. To take a baby wombat from its mother and clearly causing distress from the mother is just an outrage. And, you know, I suggest to this so-called influencer, maybe she might try some other Australian animals. Take a baby crocodile from its mother and see how you go there.
Well, we understand now that Jones has left Australia. Officials said they'd review her visa and could cancel it if immigration laws were breached. CNN has reached out to her for comment but hasn't received a response. Back top of the hour with more CNN Newsroom. But first, World Sport starts after the break.
The Siberian cat lives in sunny air, but longs for snow, so Mom created the best snow day ever. We do ridiculous things to give our pets the best life. But one simple thing can help you give the best care. Get Pumpkin Pet Insurance at pumpkin.care.
Join me, Larry Madowo, as I introduce you to Africa's trendsetters. See how they use their talent, resources, and passion to make a difference on the continent. This is African Voices Changemakers.
Make a public structure in Nigerian music and entertainment.
You need to know who exactly you want to see.
We're very passionate about talent to be able to showcase that has never changed.
African Voices Changemakers on CNN. All new Inside Africa. See a continent in transformation as trailblazers evolve culture, technology, and industry across Africa and beyond. Hear from the people fighting to preserve their heritage for the next generation.
If this tradition stops, then the history of Maasai people also is gone.
Inside Africa on CNN in association with Zenith Bank.
God, I'm hot.
It's time to embrace new adventures. Making tea. That is so good. Tea to movements. It was all Saturday on CNN.
What excites me most is being able to do what I love and being able to inspire others.
Zimbabwe is Mozambican. People from Swaziland, people from Tanzania. If you want to have build a brand, I think this is the place to be.
We showing around the continent.
Hey, so Shout at them, shoot near them if you have to. Just try not to kill them. I knew that would be cool. Demolitions, Haggard, your first job's to spool the guards. Again, try and do it without killing them. Then when that's done, go downstairs and hit the vault. I'm giving you special carbines with suppressors. Use them wisely. Like I said, this is a big deal, people. Don't fuck it up.
Market and long-term gains for the American people. I'm not concerned about a little bit of volatility over 3 weeks.
President Trump is now vowing to slap a 200% tariff on wine, champagne, and other alcohol products from Europe, unless the European Union removes a 50% tariff if we're on U.S. spirits. Now, in a social media post, Trump called the EU one of the most hostile and abusive taxing and tariffing authorities in the world. European Commissioner Michael Gruff told CNN the escalating trade war will cost jobs and hurt businesses. Serious.
We will respond in a firm but a proportionate way. But this is not where we want to be. Tariffs are ultimately a tax on consumers here in the United States and in Europe, and it will hurt businesses and it will cost jobs.
CNN's Jeff Zeleny is following the latest developments at the White House.
As President Trump ends another week here at the White House, the financial markets have been warned once again. Reacting to the trade war and the tariff policies that have really but the president on Thursday said he's taking it to the long term. The record of them has been ripped off as a country for many, many years. We don't need their cars, we don't need their energy, we don't need their language. Now that we live in disruption, but it wasn't very long. But they need us to do this. The president's saying it won't be very long. That, of course, will be one of the metrics to which he is judged going forward. Will the markets still continue to have a adverse reaction to what these policies are doing? Now, the market says, look, the market goes up, the market goes down. But it is clear the uncertainty with the trade war has signaled is really sparking uncertainty in the markets. The president, though, embracing this policy, is looking ahead to even more tariffs than the reciprocal ones go into effect in April. The timeline for all of this, the White House saying impressed by what he did in his first term, but the reality is he's now being judged by a few of the second. Jeff Zeleny, CNN, the White House.
And Brian Patel, global business executive at Senior Fellow at the Drucker School of Management at Claremont Graduate University, and he's joining us now from Washington. Great to see you again. So listen, just to start, we keep hearing terms like the market's slated correction. I know the dictionary definition of that is 10% or more in stock from the most recent high, but what do you think is in this context? I mean, it does happen every so often, but when we talk about now, what signal are investors sending you?
Well, I mean, they're paying attention even more than ever. Think about the market. From February, greater than 10%. It's now erased its post-November election gains back to the levels we've seen in September. So Kim, we're back to where we were in September, so that just kind of puts it in perspective. And when you think of corrections, as you mentioned, historically, it's around 10 to 15 months, millions to 10, 50 to 20% or more. It's unusual. You have to really have 2 for nearly 3 years. And so this is the point where we are getting, I don't want to say close, but it is really on everyone. They're paying attention to, will this keep going? When will this skid stop? And we've been doing it for 2-3 weeks now. And so that's a really good investors attention right now.
Yeah, that's right. And Donald Trump saying he's not going to bend on tariffs. So as we look at the effect on the markets, I mean, we saw the head of the world's largest asset manager, Larry Fink, said the economy is weakening as we speak. So, you know, big picture here, what are the numbers telling you?
Yeah, I mean, if you think of the actual macro, what the goal is to create, you know, what we're trying to do is to bring back manufacturing, do more goods, build jobs in the U.S. that you would make more money. That's the idea of what he's trying to do with trying to negotiate trade agreements. But there's a little issue there, Tim, is that it takes time. The infrastructure is not there yet, and as you said from quote from Larry Fink, the economy currently is hurting because of the growth will be slowing down and prices start to increase, so businesses stop spending money, the consumer stops spending money, and it does affect in the short term a big problem for the economy in the short term.
Yeah. All right. So I want to get back to the longer term in a second, but in terms of the short term, you know, we know President Trump's long been in favor of tariffs, but the effects now in the short term, again, are starting to hit his supporters as well. So listen to what this Republican congressman from Illinois told CNN.
I have a heavy agriculture district, heavy manufacturing district. And so, yeah, to me, tariffs are taxes. They're taxes on my farmers, my constituents, folks that are in my district.
So is he right in essence that for many Americans, these tariffs are basically just taxes by another name?
I mean, you call it what it is. He's paying for it. Then it's the consumer, it's the individual, it's the businesses that are paying for it. Just can't have it. You know, they're the ones absorbing it. So you can call it tax. You can call it the increased cost of doing business. That's an increase in expense. That means what? You have less profit in your hand. And at the end of the day, you know, that is the question that's coming up. It feels like a tax, or it feels like, you know, you have less money. And, you know, it's a great. It's just a reminder that no matter what industry that's being affected, that you're going to see some kind of effect no matter where you are and what sector you're in.
Yeah, no matter where you are. That's the question, because we've been talking about the U.S. here, but we heard the head of the European Commission say, you know, what effect this is having.
Damn it!
Something outside of North America.
Well, I think right now, when you think of people are kind of like looking, right, because they're strong the back and forth, so they're just kind of going, well, okay, how bad is it going to be? And so when you think of the global ripple effect, it could turn into waves. I'm not saying it's turning into waves right now, but it could turn into waves for China, Europe, just because they have to adjust their supply chains. And when you think of new trade deals, what does that mean long term? So would that put certain economies in markets? They can't catch up faster than the U.S. can recover. So the trade war stop in like 3 months, right? It just puts a lot of that region in a longer recovery mode, which then overall hurts the overall GDP of all those countries.
Well, listen, we don't know, as you said, what effect. Effects this will have on the longer term, but certainly in the shorter term, the instability not going anywhere for some time. Brian Patel in Washington. Great to see you again.
Great to see you, Ken.
Canadian officials say talks will continue next week with the U.S. after the two sides met in Washington on Thursday. Canadian Finance Minister Dominic LeBlanc led a delegation that met with U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick. That comes after weeks of tension triggered by President Trump's talks of making Canada the 51st U.S. state in an escalating tariff war between the neighbors. Doug Ford, Premier of Canada's most populous province, said the talks helped cool things down. Here.
We feel that the temperature is getting low. We're like a family. And sometimes there's tension between families. It's meeting.
Relations with the U.S. are a priority for Canada's next Prime Minister. Mark Carney is set to be sworn in the coming day, replacing Justin Trudeau. He is moving to capitalize on Russia's unenthusiastic reaction to the U.S. 30-day ceasefire proposal for Ukraine. Russian President Vladimir Putin expressed frustration about the proposal after Moscow received it on Thursday. He raised so many questions about how it would work. It doesn't go far enough. Ukraine has already signed off on the plan, and the president dragging its feet without saying no.
Just honestly, now we have all those congressional experience, very manipulative words from Putin in response to the idea of the ceasefire on the front line. He is actually preparing the refusal as of now. Putin, of course, is afraid to tell President Trump directly that he wants to continue this war.
U.S. President Donald Trump reacted to the Kremlin's answer while meeting with NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte. Trump said he still has leverage to turn up the pressure on Russia if needed, but he wouldn't say how. He suggested Putin's response was a good start.
You put out a very promising statement. This is complete. And yeah, I'd love to meet with him or talk to him. We have to get it over with fast. Thousands of people a week are dying, so we really don't have very much time. We have to make this fast. It shouldn't be very complicated.
CNN's Fred Plankin is in Moscow with more on Russia's response.
Just hours after visiting his generals near the front lines in the Kursk region, Russian leader Vladimir Putin back in Moscow pouring cold water on President Trump's initiative for an immediate ceasefire with Ukraine.
I would like to begin with words of gratitude to the U.S. President, Mr. Trump, for paying so much attention to the settlement in Ukraine. We agreed with the proposals to end hostilities, but we proceed from the fact that this end should be such that it would lead to a long-term peace and eliminate the root causes of this crisis.
In other words, the Russians want to hammer out a full peace deal before ending the fighting, even as the Trump administration says the shooting should stop immediately. The U.S. president had hoped Putin would fully endorse his proposal.
Now we're going to see whether or not Russia's there, and if they're not, it'll be a very disappointing moment for the world.
This as Russian forces say they've been making major gains in the Kursk region, Ukraine's last small foothold on Russian territory. Putin soldiers are now patrolling the streets in small towns leveled by the battles. There was fierce fighting here, the soldier said. Ukrainian troops brought in heavy equipment and shot at the building point blank. But the buildings are strong, the walls are strong, so the defense held up. He went on to say he has concerns that the Ukrainians will use a ceasefire to regroup and rearm if Moscow's
I didn't do that much, but you, you know, I thought you were just a bunch of, creepy and quiet weirdos. Turns out you're a bunch of creepy, quiet weirdos with talent. You rob and you steal and destroy like geniuses. Oh, I love it. I love it. Here, let me wire you your money. You know, I will never forget the good times. All the laughs we had. You're like family. The picnic, you know, the hike in the woods, and all the selfies, and oh, and the time we went rollerblading, and we watched the sunset, and we stayed up all night talking and sharing our innermost fears, and then what was that? That wasn't you? Even the skinny dipping and the oh. What are you saying? Oh, the drugs. Oh man, the drugs. I am a heavily medicated man. I'm not well at all. I'm a little embarrassed. Okay, the money here, and here, and here, and here. Okay, you better take off and take care. Okay. Bye-bye.
I don't know why I did that. Oh, today's Thursday.
stuff here for you. So what you looking for? Lamar always been a goofy.
All right, y'all. Good night. I will see y'all tomorrow.